Hey, welcome to First Fridays. My name is Marissa, and I am here with.
I am Minister Chris.
Oh, we are so excited to be here, and I know that before I start rambling on, Chris is going to say we got to do our housework, right?
Our housekeeping. Yeah,
Keeping, keeping.
yeah. I'm just trying to make sure that we are live, that we are out here on the channels before I get started. Uh, hmm.
Hmm. It looks like we're live.
Check your see if we're on your pages.
Yeah, I will do that right now.
And while you do that, I will do the housekeeping, but I want to make sure that we are that people can see us. If not, we're gonna have to start it over because then we'll be having a show by ourselves.
We'll be here all by ourselves.
How about that? Let's see.
Let's
Okay,
see.
I think we're up. Well, let's go
I
ahead
think
and
we're.
I think we are. I just want to make sure because look, that's why we do it so people can get the information. So, well, good evening, everybody. We are live, and this is First Fridays with Marisa and Chris. And I'm going to do some housekeeping, as I say every time that we go live, so you can get in touch with us and know the things that we do. You can subscribe, first of all, to our YouTube channel at First Fridays with Marisa and Chris. So every time that we do go live, you will get notified, but you got to hit that bell. So if you go to
And
First Fridays with Marisa and Chris, subscribe and hit the bell. Every time that we go live, you will get notified.
yes.
And you can also follow Marisa on her Facebook pages, her LinkedIn, and also on Twitter at Marisa. Facebook is Marisa.Bluedorn. LinkedIn is Marisa-Bluedorn-M-S-DTM. Good
Woo.
Lord.
Yes.
And at TCS and Own It on Twitter and at TCS with Marisa. So you can reach her on those social media platforms. And she also has a phenomenal, let me remove this caption, phenomenal magazine that you can subscribe to. And you can find that also on her website. Let me put her website up again. And that's at TCS Consulting LLC.com. You can subscribe to her magazine, and she also is an author of several books. You can get her books there as well. Let me leave that up and remove the graphic. She got a lot going on, so you can check her out. She also, you still have your coaching programs as well, right?
Yes, I do. Yes, I
Coaching
do.
programs. So everything that, all things Marisa, you can go to TC, tcsconsulting.com to get LLC.com. The information, all of the things that she magazines, her books, her coaching program, and just check her out. She's a fly chick. That's why she's on here with me. And she's an awesome woman of God and a business leader. So you can learn a lot from her by visiting her page. Also, with me, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Restoration Speaks. You can get my books there, find out about me. I'm also available. You can book me for your conference events um, as a MC or a keynote speaker. You can go there and see all the things that I do. Also, I am a author as well
Mm.
of Restoration Speaks. Speak Loud. It is also a series of books. The Bible Study Journal, also an anthology that's an international bestseller, and also one of my newest things that I am so excited about is Restoration Speak Sessions, and our show will air this What is that? No, on, I'm sorry, let me remove this caption, get it out the way. It will air on September the 13th with my special guest, Pastor Margot Gross, who is an anointed pastor and author and a powerful woman of God. And we will be talking about pushing past the pain in the process. So go to Restoration Speaks, my YouTube channel, and hit that bell so you won't miss that show. And the shows thereafter. I got some powerful women lined up for that show. And I think that's all the housekeeping that I have for us today.
Ooh.
So, what are we talking about this evening?
Well, we're always talking about leadership, 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 leadership. And you're probably wondering, why does this woman always want to talk about leadership? Well, it's important for you to understand that we are all leaders, whether you want to be, you don't want to be, whether you are in a leadership role formally or informally, we are all leaders, and we start with leading ourselves. And Chris and I were talking about earlier before the show, before we went live, that one of the roles of leadership that's really not aligned with it or thought as a role of leadership is parenting. Parenting is a leadership role. So when you think about that, teaching is a leadership role. Managers and supervisors, anyone who has the responsibility or governing of anyone else is a leader. And it's so important for us to understand ourselves, see ourselves as leaders, and begin to be strategic and intentional, especially if we want to succeed in different things. Would you agree with me, or what are your thoughts about that, Chris? Let me bring you in.
I'm sorry, I was trying to make sure because I checked my social media and I don't see the show. So
Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed some of what you said. I don't see us. Um,
Okay, so Tiffany is here. It was difficult to access the link. So how do we send them the links? 'Cause I think so we are live. So they're
okay.
asking us for the
Oh, hey,
link.
Tiffany. I'm not sure because that feature that Marissa is using to invite her platform is new to the platform that we're using. So we're kind of filling it out, getting used to it, Tiffany. So bear with us. I'm glad you can see us. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry that it was difficult for you to get in. We're kind of learning. This is a learning curve for us
Yes.
right now. So thank you so much, Tiffany, and we pray that something that we said today will be helpful to you and your business. But I don't see it on any of my social media. But we're gonna keep going anyway. It'll get on there at some point.
Yeah,
But
because it's there because she wanted to be able to say it.
right.
Okay, so she had to go to YouTube, and then go to AWIC. So she YouTube and searched for Aqua, and then she went to AWIC. All right, so she's here. So she's actually on the YouTube side through AWIC.
Okay.
So she
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yes,
Or let's,
Tiffany.
or let's live somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know what? We thank you for your diligence and just really pressing through to actually get to see us live. And that's a part of leadership, right? Because if you want results, you got to do what it takes to get there. And as leaders, we set a model. We are modeling behavior that we want others to observe and also apply in their lives. That's why it's so important for us to be cognizant of the fact that we are leaders, and our way of leading ourselves impacts those who follow us. And so yeah, I just wanted to give you, Chris, because I can talk. I wanted to give you a chance to kind of chime in on your thoughts. So our topic for this particular month is leadership styles, understanding your way of leading, how you lead and how you do things, and that impact it has on those who are following you or who are under you. And so it's leadership styles, and that leadership styles impact on others and the results it gets. So share with us a little, Chris, about your thoughts about this month's topic.
Well, I think it's important to know your leadership style. I thought about this topic, and I think I shared before, but I'll share it again. I was always called bossy when I was growing up. So, but now as I've gotten, to know who I am in Christ, I just understand now that I'm a leader. So what I started to do when the Lord had me take on various leadership roles, I wanted to learn how to be a good leader. So I
Mhm.
started to read and take a lot of classes, go to a lot of conferences specific to leadership so I could learn how to lead correctly. Because if you don't lead correctly, you're just taking a long walk by yourself or you taking a chaotic walk with others. So I wanted to learn how to be an effective leader, how to be a good leader. And good leaders are always growing, always, they should be um, forever learners. They should always want to learn. I'm always trying to, like now, this September, I'm going to take what they call Master Life, which is a discipleship course, a 10-month course, because the curriculum that I'm getting ready to put out to help women with my restoration speak sessions to guide women into becoming whole and restored. Actually, it's not coaching, it's discipleship. So I need to be built up so I can be discipled and then disciple.
Mhm.
So that's what I think about leadership. Leaders should know their leadership style, and they should also um, grow themselves. Every leader should be under a leader, just like every coach should have a coach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And leaders have to also recognize when someone is assigned to them. And that's a big thing too, is that, some leaders are not recognizing the fact that some people are assigned to them. So it has to be, the two must come into agreement in regards to one, finding your leader, and then also your leader acknowledging and actually leading. There are so there's two different approaches. Goldman has 6 styles of leadership, which I
Mhm.
think is evolved. So we started off with the different 5 sets of different leadership styles, and that was the authoritarian, the participative leadership style, the delegative leadership style, the transactional leadership style, and the transformational leadership style. One is not that's missing out of here is the laissez-faire leadership style. But there were leadership styles early on, which have evolved into now 6 styles that really begin to really relate currently to the impact of leadership, and that is affiliative, democratic, commanding, pace setting, visionary, and coaching. And just like you hit on a little bit, and what you said earlier was with you are looking at it from the ministry's perspective, is a discipleship, is discipling them and converting them into a new belief system and a new understanding. And then in here, it's teaching leaders that they have the responsibility to coach. And this is so critical because individuals who have been supervisors, managers, directors, if they didn't understand that they were leaders, they didn't understand the importance of developing their people. And that's what really coaching is about. Really, coaching is about developing your people and taking the time to do an assessment of the individual that's sitting in front of you to say, hey, wait a minute, this is this person who I'm looking at. Where in what area as a leader do I see them already functioning and doing very well? And what area do I see in them that needs development? And then how, as their leader, their manager, their boss, their parent, their husband, their wife, their whatever, how am I going to help this individual fill that gap and start performing at the maximized level they really have the gifting and talent to actually operate at? And that's what coaching is all about. And that's leadership style and impact. Leadership style is saying, this is my approach and this is my way of doing things. And one that is so critical in making sure you're successful as a leader is, do you see yourself as helping someone else develop and evolve? Because if
Mm.
you don't, then you don't really have that connectivity that's required to make an impact on their lives, right? Because you don't feel like you're obligated or you're honored to help them evolve and grow.
Mhm.
What are your thoughts about that? Seeing themselves as coaches or seeing themselves as one that is now a part of someone else's learning growth.
Well, that kind of leader has to be an unselfish leader. And unfortunately, there are a lot of leaders that are not unselfish, because they think it's all about them, and they have the more dictative. It's my business. I'm the boss. I'm the supervisor. You do what I say, and that's it. But when you understand that you can catch a lot of bees with honey than you can with vinegar. When you pour into people, they will give back. When you give, it will be given back to you. So if you lead with others in mind, how can I build you up? How can I help you in developing your skills, and in developing their skills? It makes your company or whatever you're leading them in better. But if you just all about you, then those businesses who are all about them, those business leaders have a high turnover. They people come, they tend to, I've had enough, because people don't know how much you care. No, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So when you are uncaring, a selfish leader, then you will have a high turnover in your business.
Mhm.
So you should be in, and just think about it. Everybody who who is in a leadership position is really not a good leader and should not be in that position. Every position is not because they they actually good in that position. So, or earned. We never know how people step into certain roles that they have.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Yeah, and you know what? The real deal is this is, and I know I've been in corporate management, I've been self-employed, I've been in the academic environment, the academic career path. And I have to say to this one of the conversations that's not taking place is taking place in the classroom in regards to leadership and leadership studies, but is not talked about in the mainstream where it really needs to be discussed. And that's in the actual roles that are assigned to individuals who are governing or doing people management. So individuals who are in people management need to understand, it needs to be said to them, it needs to be very clear that they are leaders, not that they just have to manage people, but they need to bring in the concept and the discussion about how they are leaders. And what you talked about in regards to employee turnover is what we call POS, is perceived organizational support. How do I know that this company or this individual or this organization, how do I know that they support me? Well, it showed up because when we did the Family Leave Act, that was a sign that there was a low morale in very stressful times for moms, for people, career professionals who now had to take care of their parents or had to take care of a spouse. That we had back in the late 80s and into the 90s, we had the Family Leave Act because the perceived organizational support was on the negative. And as a result, people were leaving their jobs. Mindset in regards to commitment to organizations to stay long term shifted in the 90s into the 2000s. People are no longer committed to organizations because the POS is low. And when the POS is low, that's when you have high turnover because there's no commitment. If you don't care about me, why should I care about you? And that's how your employees begin to think, and begin to act. So when we look at leadership and leadership impact, there are four areas. I love to do my research. So there's four areas by which we can see the impact of this leadership, whether positive or negative. People morale. And I say people morale because I don't want to leave it as we're just looking at companies and organizations and the employment environment. I'm looking at leadership across the board, whether it's in your life or your business or your career. I'm looking at leadership from that perspective because leadership crosses all of those domains. So we're looking at people morale. Like, so if you're not a good leader in your parenting and your approach to parenting, it impacts your kids' morale. It impacts their motivation. It impacts how they show up. So there's people morale and motivation. That's number one. Number two is performance and productivity. Number three is attitude and decision making. And then number four is matrix and results. And that matrix and results is just statistics, numbers, and actual measurable results. How do we see? Are we meeting our goals as the leader? Are we meeting our goals as the organization? And one thing I wanted to hit on was some numbers. You mentioned again in regards to employee turnover, people staying, but we can look at the church. Like, how many members don't stay at the church if they don't feel like the pastor or the leadership is really acknowledging them or meeting their needs? So
Well, say
70,
something about that.
yeah, go right ahead.
And what it boils down to is when you have a lot of and it's not for every church,
Hmm.
but a lot of times it's because they're not being discipled. One of the things that the word says is to make disciples, not church members, disciples of who? Disciples of Christ. So
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons why I'm going to take this discipleship program, is to learn to disciple other women in the Word of God to help them get to a place of restoration and wholeness. I can't disciple if I have not first been discipled. So as I'm getting discipled, then I'm able to disciple others. But that's why you have that high, that is a reason why you can have high turnover in a church. Is they come in, some people come, some people are excited because the word is good. Some people are excited because the music was on point. Some people are excited because they heard one of the deacons give a devotion or whatever. Whatever their reason for coming in to that specific branch of Zion to join that church is a whole different way you have to keep them there. And
Right.
that's through discipleship.
Yeah. Yeah. And so discipleship is really group think. And organizations do this. They work on it. It's called learning organizations. Learning organizations pride themselves on constantly, it's like you said earlier, feeding themselves, learning, staying current, making sure that they're highly effective in the
Mhm.
now, in the knowing. And so discipleship is even to the point of how companies and organizations build high performance teams, because high performance teams in that environment, everybody believes in the goal, they believe in the objectives, and they understand the value of reaching the point of goal achievement. They understand that they understand the importance of commitment, dedication, showing up, being a high performer. High performance teams understand that it's imperative that they show up in totality in order to make sure that the goal is successful. They buy into the vision, and so that's, to me, is an alignment with discipleship. So 71%. So this is from Smarf. Smarf is a company who um, they reach all of your employees in corporate to the front line with targeted communication. So they are the leading employee communications and advocacy platform. And according to their stats, it says 71% of companies believe that engagement is critical to their organization's success. 69% of employees, when they feel they have POS, positive POS, work harder to perform for their jobs. 85% are not engaged. So you got a workforce population of 85% who leadership and the organizations are not doing what is necessary to make sure that they're engaged. 81% want to leave their jobs. They're not satisfied. Something is not happening. So 81% want to leave their job. Um, and a part of leaving their job would require like 74% want pay increase. So pay increase is one of the things that are driving them. 21% are looking for. So when employees are engaged, organizations have recorded that 21% of their performance rate has increased. So we know that leadership impact makes a huge difference. Leadership caring makes a huge difference. It's saying that if they're not, and I believe this is my argument, Chris, and you tell me, I believe it's because individuals in roles, management roles that are associated with people management don't know that they're leaders, even though they're hired in these roles, or even though they take on these roles, either in volunteer positions. They don't understand the concept of leadership. They don't understand the role of leadership, and they definitely don't understand the impact of leadership or the absence thereof, because they're just not aware of it, because no one has. It's not like they don't want to know it. I believe it's because no one has said it to them. They've not been awakened to the fact that they have this level of influence and power. I don't believe that they understand it.
Well, some do understand it, and they understand it in a way is that I'm the boss. It's not that I'm a leader. I'm just the boss, and I'm the boss of you. So it's a different mentality. That's why the leadership training is very important, of learning how to lead others. It's not, it's not just that you have a title as supervisor or CEO or whatever. You still need to learn the skill set of
Mm-hmm.
leadership and how to lead others, how to be a good listener, how to have empathy for others that are under you, how to make people feel that they are a part of something. Because when people feel that they are a part of, then they have buy-in, and then they will take ownership. Well, because if when you go or deal with certain businesses, those who are treated well as employees by the way they treat you. So it's not just enough to have the leadership title. You have to be trained as a leader and understand what leadership is and what it is not. It's not just a title. It's not you just bossing people. And also having, you talk about this all the time, having a good awareness of yourself, your own strengths, your own weaknesses, and then you're better able to lead others. Because if you're good with you, then you don't have a problem when that other sister has skill sets that you don't have. You look at her as an asset. But if you're not aware of who you are, and your own strengths, and comfortable with your weaknesses, you will be offended or jealous of that sister who is good at reading the contract, or good at strategic planning, where that's not your strength, but she's
Right.
an asset. But
Mm-hmm.
because people don't have a good awareness of themselves, or are insecure with themselves, they will take on that boss mentality, and they'll use her skill set, but won't give her the credit.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And what's really sad about that is that doesn't last. So you're only, because you have not mastered the process of learning the skill set, you've not gone through the process to learn that skill set. You have the surface level of the skill set. So you can have it as long as you have access to that model. But once that model is gone, then that skill set is gone, unless you've dug in deeper and found a way to master the skill, and cultivate it and bring it up. You're not going to keep anything that doesn't belong to you. I can tell you, you're not going to keep it. You have it temporarily because you stole it. But when the thief down, you got to turn it. So so we are all good. And see, so that's the resting place. So when you want to get into why leaders can be really effective, is because if they are secure within themselves, if they really love themselves and they're good with who they are, they're good with, they're resting in themselves. They just love who they are. They don't want for anything. They're not complacent. They're content. So those leaders can be extremely effective because they have no hidden agenda. And so what I want to do is I really want to speak to business owners. I want to speak to career professionals and individuals who are looking to level it up. So in your life, if you want to level it up, it's very important for you to go in and study leadership styles, just like we tell you to study the word of God, because we talking all things, business and more, right? So, me and Chris are crazy for Jesus. We love him. And so one thing that we always resort to is the word of God. So that brings us into balance and truth. And so what you want to do is, as individuals who are becoming more and more knowledgeable and more, you desire a level of self-awareness that's going to help you to navigate through the craziness of life and reach your fulfillment and your goals. You are going to have to become more and more self-aware, and that's requiring you to learn more and more about this thing called leadership and your leadership style. What is your approach to influencing others? What is your approach to persuading others? What is your approach to onboarding others? You have to begin to identify that. And that is in your life. So when you think about doing anything, when you think about your friends and your family, your loved ones, your love relationships, leadership is a part of that. You have to learn how you are going to govern yourself in these relationships, because leading yourself is you learning how to set your own boundaries, identify your strengths and weaknesses, like we always talk about, Chris, the SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You got to know all of things. You got to begin to know what makes you tick and ticks you off. You got to know about those things within all of those relationships so that you are able to navigate and self-regulate. And what I always say, press through the mess and get to God's best. So those individuals who are leveling up, want to go up, want to take their life to the next level, you've got to become more and more cognizant of the fact that whether you like it or not, you are a leader of yourself. And then whether you like it or not, other people are watching you. Whether you have a formal title or an informal title, someone is admiring you, and the things that you do have an impact on how those people, one, their morale and their motivation. Based on something that you say, you could either demotivate or motivate them to go after their goals and their dreams. You can increase their productivity, because after something they hear you say, it may energize them and it may get them excited and it may keep them on that avenue of productivity. I can tell you, after somebody leaves hanging out with me, I'm not trying to do this intentionally, but they are automatically trying to go and do something. So it's like, I'm cracking up. I was like, look, I did not say that for nobody to be doing anything. I was just talking to you, right? So
Right.
also our leadership has an impact on their attitude. I know me, I don't always have high moments. My moments are not always positive. I have to watch myself as a leader as to what information I share with the public. Why? Because to whom much is given, much is required. I got to watch that, because something I say that I could be off my game, I could be just in one of my moods, and it could be negative only because I'm human. We all go through stuff, right?
Right.
I got to
Mhm.
be careful who I share that with. Why? Because it may give them a bad attitude and cause them to make bad decisions, which is number 3, attitude and decision. So I have to make sure that I pick and choose. That's why when you said earlier, we always have to have someone we talk up to, right? So that we don't talk to down, we don't talk the up conversation to the people that we're supposed to be building up. We should be talking to the people who are in position in our lives to be the board members. I always say, who's in your boardroom? So the advisors are who you should be talking up to and talking to about the things that are getting on your nerve. Then
Right.
and then also we got to be responsible and be cognizant of the results of our leadership. So if we don't know how to self guide ourselves, then we're out of control. We're not, we don't understand why we're not getting results, because we're not being leaders, we're not being CEOs, we're not thinking strategically and intentionally. And so therefore we can't even measure the results, because we're not even putting plans on a daily base in place so that we can get to the results that we want. We're all over the place. That's why leadership of self is so important, and it's specifically important for those people who are trying to level up. Same thing with people who are in their careers. You got to start doing this. You got to start leading yourself and saying, well, what's next ahead of time? Be proactive, not reactive, and start leading yourself in that way accordingly. So again, look up leadership styles. Look up leadership styles and begin to see yourself in one of these styles or multiple styles, because we're multifaceted. We're not going to fit into one style. So we got to look at the different styles. And then also, different styles are required for different scenarios too. So we got to know how to navigate through that as well. And the same thing with our business. We have to be strategic. Leadership and understanding that you are a leader of yourself will cause you to begin to think and become a disciple of leadership, right? Because now you're beginning to think in a new way, right? You're beginning to think in a way, so you're beginning to make decisions in a new way. You're getting to have a different attitude, because you want to make sure your attitude is going to get you the results that you really, really want. So all this stuff about leadership is so very important, and it goes across the domains: your life, your career, your business. And it goes to different positions and different titles, whether you're in a relationship, whether that's a love relationship, whether it's a relationship with your children, a relationship in your family, whether you're the oldest, whether you're the youngest, and what role, right? All of this has a play in that,
Yes. And
you
with
know?
that said, we're going to take a commercial break, come back on the other side, and finish this conversation about leadership style and impact with Marissa and Chris. This is First Fridays, and thank again, you guys, for joining us, and we will be right back.
All right. Oh, nice. See all that bling bling?
And we are back. We are back with First Fridays with Marissa and Chris. And Marissa was finishing up her statement. I hated to interrupt you, but you know we always got to take a commercial break.
Yep, yeah. Beautiful commercials.
Thank you. Also, that is one of my businesses. If you have bling and jewelry and want to be Zoom ready, Restream ready, StreamYard ready, or just ready, you can go with the porcelain-jewels.com. That is my jewelry business, along with my oldest daughter, China, and check out all the beautiful jewels for a beautiful you at porcelain-jewels.com.
Oh, awesome. Everything. You know, I love bling, bling, bling. I love everything pretty and sparkly. Oh my God.
We're getting ready to be to gear up for the fall. We're getting ready to start some shopping, so it's going to be some new things on there soon. But it's some nice things on there right now, so you can go ahead over there to porcelain-jewels.com.
Yeah, it's time to shop, because we get ready for holidays. Can
Yeah,
you
yeah.
believe? We are
I
getting ready to go right into the holidays.
Yeah, we are in September. This is the birthing season. So you should
Mm,
be birthing something in this month, and also gearing up for the last quarter of the year. And also thinking about what you're going to be doing in 2022. What kind of leader are you going to be in 2022? That's one of the reasons why I have committed myself to this Master Life program. And it's a 10-month program to build me up, because I want to be in 2022. I want to be a better leader than I was in 2021. I want to be a better minister than I was in 2021. So it's time for me to develop myself. So a great leader is always looking for opportunities to develop themselves, to develop their skill sets, especially in leadership.
Hmm. Wow. I mean, I just, when this first, well, I believe when God put this in my spirit, in regards to just awakening me to, to leadership. And I can say this is because, working on my PhD, and having my degrees, yeah, and having my degrees in leadership development, I just realized that in our community, we don't talk about leadership other than the pastor, the community leaders, but we don't talk about, individuals being leaders. We don't talk about that. And we're not awakened to this. And we need to be awakened to it in order for us to be effective. And then also for us to be accountable, because we can't be accountable for something that we're not aware of. We can't be accountable for something that we're not aware of. And if we're not aware of, what leadership is and how it is us, not that it's someone else, but that leadership is us. We are leaders. And whether or not we ever formally lead other people, we are leading them informally, because just think about the times that before you had the title of minister, how many times have people come to you for advice?
Yeah, when I did hair,
That's a
I did hair for
leadership.
20 years. Woo, girl.
Yeah, but we weren't taught the
Give us the advice,
responsibility.
all right.
Yeah, we weren't taught the responsibility of what was getting ready to come out of our mouths to
Right.
advise them. And so a lot of times we could have been advising them out of our flesh,
Oh, I
um,
wasn't passing them out of my flesh, I
not
promise you.
realizing it, not realizing the
I
impact.
promise you I was. I promise you I was advising them out of my flesh. And the thing
Yeah.
funny, I think back at that time when I was hair, I started doing hair. But before I got out of high school, by the time I was 15, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a hairstylist. So by the time I was 20, I was renting my own space, my own booth rent. That's what they called it. And
Mhm.
when I think about the stuff that I've told people, and one of the things I would always say, because I was saved, but I wasn't living anything that looked like Christ. And
Mhm.
that would be my line. I'm saved, but I'm still me. That kind of foolishness. So I was living my best fleshly life. And the advice that I was given was straight from Chris. It had absolutely nothing to do with Christ. But but you know what they say about hair, your hairstylist is that you tell your hairstylist everything. That's your therapist every week or every 2 weeks. So the stuff that I told people, child,
That's correct. Yeah.
woo,
But we didn't know any better, in
mm-mm,
the sense that we may have been told something, but it was nothing as clear as saying, do you understand that the words that are coming out of your mouth are getting ready to influence this individual's decision, and it could take their life in one direction or another.
mm-hmm,
And to be responsible for what we're getting ready to just say to them. We were not taught that. And I believe that if that's our conversation, the earlier that becomes a part of our conversation with people, young people, in fact, the sooner we'll be more intentional and strategic, um, in how we advise folks and what
mm-hmm,
we say to them. It's just so important for us to be aware of that, and that we have this conversation with younger and younger and younger and younger people. Little kids are not, they that's the best time to really begin to start having that conversation, to hold them accountable, that
Mhm.
you can cause this person to do something that will, use my language, will screw up their life, or you can advise them in a way that is going, they may not want to hear what you have to say, but by you saying it, it would give them the opportunity to make better, more quality, and lifelong impacting decisions.
And also, as a leader, the people who are leading, who you are leading, it's important for you to learn who you're leading, so you know how to deal with each person individually, because everybody is not the same. So when
Right.
you have a group of people that you're leading, what you say to one person will get you a lot of results, but how
Mm-hmm.
you say the same thing to another
Right.
person may yield you no results. So you
Right.
have to learn your people, the people that are working with you or that you are leading. You have to also learn people skills and how to really study how people receive things. How, I could straight no chaser. You'll be fine. But the other,
Mm-hmm.
if I said the same thing that I said to you, I could diminish her in her spirit. So I have to learn that. Who am I dealing with? How do they respond to certain things? How can I deliver the same truth? And I had to learn that. I had
Yeah.
to learn how to deliver the same truth in a different package for the person who I'm delivering it to, so it could be palatable for the person. Because the way that I speak to you, I might not be able to speak to that sister the same way, because it will offend her because of who she is. So when you care as a leader, that's why it's important for you to care about the people that you actually lead and learn them. It's important for you to be self-aware, and it's also important for you to be aware of the people that you actually lead, just like your children.
Yeah.
You have more than one child, which I do, and it's funny, and I learned this too. With I'll talk about my last two. With one, if I punished him from outside, oh, he was done. I mean, his life was over. But with the other, she could care less. So it didn't have the same effect. So I
Yeah.
learned how to punish her differently than I
Yeah.
did my son, because it didn't it didn't affect her at all,
No.
because they are different. So even in talking to them, I could say the same thing to them and they'll hear it two different ways.
Mm-hmm. 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 I'm glad that you said that, because that is so. That's how I only have two children, and both of them different, totally different personalities. Um, their mindset is different. They have similarities in the heart, but they are still different. And I learned, like, I can look at my youngest, I never had to touch her. I could look at my youngest and she would be trembling in fear, and I wouldn't even be upset. My oldest one, forget it. I could drop a house on her. She's still being difficult. I mean, just difficult, So it's just, and I learned that. I was a very young mom, but I was always very conscious of behavior, my impact on others. And I just knew, I just was like, oh my God, I cannot parent. You don't parent your children the same way. You have general rules and guidelines, but how you enforce, your discipline, or consequences for their actions, how you enforce that, it's got to be different, because their value systems, just like you said, are different. So
Mm.
you can do one thing to one, and you're not, and that's why it's so important for leaders to understand who's in front of them, Are they trying to persuade, influence to get them the results that they want? Because they have to influence based on that individual's, not their value system, but on that individual's value system. And the way that
Mm,
they get to know that is they have to build a relationship with them. Leaders
right.
must, it's called leader member exchange, right? So leaders must do an assessment. They must get to know who they have under their wings. They must do a skills assessment. They must do a personality assessment where they know what makes that individual tick or ticks them off. What are their motivating points or motivating factors? What are those things that will cause them to cause them to flourish, right? And to tap into and unleash their unlimited potential. What drives that? What provokes them to be committed to something? Committed to the point where they'll get results. Now, some individuals you'll find high performers, they don't really need too much. They just need to know what's the goal, because they're so busy focused on I just want to reach the goal. They're not really in alignment with anything other than the fact that they're goal achievers, right? They just
Mm,
want to achieve the goal. They can care less about anything else. But it's the leader's responsibility to kind of find that out by spending time and really getting to know those who are under their authority.
yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that parents often say is, I love my children. I love all my children the same. But that's not true, because everybody's love language is different. So you have to learn people's love language, how they
Yeah.
receive, how do they receive love. For me, it's quality time. Don't tell me you care about me and you want to spend no time with me. Don't the gifts, they all right, I'll
Mhm.
take, but that's not it for me. You need to spend some
Right.
quality. You may not spend all your time, but I
Right.
need some time.
No quality.
I don't want you to send me a gift and not hang out with me. That mm-mm. I don't want your money and you don't spend no time with me. Your money is
Yes.
good. I will spend it, but that's
Right.
not it. That's not what gets my goat. You need
Right.
to spend some quality time with me. Not all
Right.
your time, because you make time for what you want to make time for. But if you're not making time for me, and that's my love language, that's how I receive love. You can tell me, men, are real good with telling you how beautiful you are. That's all fine and well. I don't suffer in that category. I already know I'm cute. Thank you. Now what
Yes.
else? Now you that does not excite me. Spending time with me is how I receive, because I think it's called affirmation. Some people need affirmations. I don't need that. I mean, I do like it, but that's not what gets my goat. That's not what motivates me. That's not
Right.
how I receive love. So we have to know how people receive things, and how you can get people to respond. You got to get to know them. You got to get to know
Right.
how, as you said about knowing what ticks, how you tick. You need to learn how other people tick and
Yep.
what ticks them off. You
Yep.
know,
Yeah,
so it's
because
two.
that's that.
Leadership comes with responsibility, and sometimes some people want the title, but they don't want the responsibility of being a leader. You always listen. If something's going awry in your business, in your ministry, in whatever you're leading in your house, you first need to check you, because everything starts from the top down, not
Mhm.
from the bottom up. So if things are going awry in anything that I'm leading, I first have to do some self-evaluation. Am I doing what I'm supposed to do? What was my role? What should I have done? And then if all my boxes are checked and I'm good, then we can start looking at, as I think you say, who's in your boardroom. Who in my boardroom that don't belong here?
Yeah.
What do we need to? What's in here that don't? Who bought something in here that we need to get rid of? But but you first need to do a self evaluation, and I'll say one other thing too, and also have real accountability around you. I don't want a bunch of yes chicks around me. If
Mhm.
if something that I'm doing, saying, if I'm stinking, tell me.
Yeah.
I need full accountability. I need to be a real leader always bounces their stuff off of somebody who's going to give them wise counsel and give them counsel that they ain't scared of you. They don't care if you're gonna get mad, but they're going to tell you the truth, no
That's
matter how you take it. But they're going to tell you the real truth and
yeah.
let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And that's so important. It's so important because the only way someone can really tap into and unleash their unlimited potential is by real conversations. And leaders have to be compassionate. They can't be distant and disconnected, because if you're distant and disconnected, people feel that. They know that you don't care. And that goes back again to that POS, perceived organizational support. That organizational support, who is the model of that? Who is the example of that? Who is the, who is the representation of that? It's leadership. Whether you're in a management position, a supervisory position, you are representing the organization. And that's how, the employees or the people are really identifying with how much this organization really cares about me. Same thing with the church. So if leadership in the church is not taking care of the parishioners, right? If they're not taking care of the members of the church, or the church, the members feel neglected, then that is not that their thought of that, their feelings that they're not being taken care of, is not necessarily directed at the pastor. It's directed at the church as a whole, because they're looking at the church didn't care about me.
Mm-hmm.
Unless they have a direct like connection with the pastor, where that sense of feeling or offense is directly connected to the pastor. Generally speaking, they're looking at the church itself, the entity itself, as not being a supporting factor. And that is as a result of leadership and their hospitality department, departments that really are the care departments that should be really attending to and caring for the the congregants. And so in employee organizations, in corporate organizations, it's the leadership, it's the management, it's the supervisors, it's the team leads, it's HR, it's whoever is the representing body of the organization that is doing the neglecting. That the employee will say, well, they don't really care about me, so why should I stay here? And that's true. Like if someone's mistreating you, or you feel like you've been neglected, are you staying in that relationship if you really care about yourself?
Right.
No, you're not staying there. So you're going to leave. So it's so important for us to take our responsibility. Don't wait for someone to talk to you about being a leader. You already know. And listening to these conversations over the last few months with Chris and I, you've learned that we're all leaders. We're leaders of ourselves first. Indirectly or directly, we become leaders of other individuals. And if we really care about being a leader and our impact, we'll care about those who we serve. And as Chris said, she's a servant leader. And so, all of us are servant leaders if we really care about our people. We're really going to care and be effective, because servant leaders are there to coach and develop and disciple those who are under their care. To look at their skills, do a skills assessment and a needs analysis to say, where do they need to be, where are they flourishing in their natural skills and abilities, and what skills and abilities and competencies do they need to develop along the way. And so you care enough to do that assessment, and then begin to work with each of those individuals you are responsible for or serving, and help them to find ways in which they can train and develop themselves, so that they can tap into, again, unleash their unlimited potential. Because in that lies fulfillment and joy in life, is when you are living your fulfilling life. That's where you're living, where you are utilizing all of who you really are. You have aligned with your design, right, Chris? That's
Amen.
aligned with your design. So
Amen. Well, this has been good. I hope that you guys have gotten some great nuggets from our topic today, leadership style and impact. It is already an hour, and that is the end of our show for this month.
Oh
I
yeah.
hope you guys had a great time with us on this first Friday, and we will be back on. God, can you believe that it will be November?
Yes.
Woo!
Because
The summer is
that's what we're
over.
the seasons are flying. That's why you gotta get
Wow.
your house in order.
Wow. Can you believe summer is gone? Wow, wow, wow.
That's
Well, again, before we get out of here, please go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe to First Fridays with Marissa and Chris. So you'll be notified the next First Friday in November when we go live again. You can catch us. Do we know what we're talking about next month?
oh yes,
We
of
don't
course,
know yet.
Chris. Yes, encouraging yourself.
Ah, yes. So that's going to be good.
That's gonna be real.
As David did, encourage his own self.
Well, get your Bibles out because we will be doing Bible study.
This is First Fridays with Marisa and Chris, and we talk all things business and more from a Christian perspective. So thank you again for tuning in, and we will see you guys next month. Have a great Labor Day weekend, and
Yes.
we are out of here.
All right. Bye bye.